Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bull City Coordinators Duke Football Coverage Podcast. We are back at you with a mini episode in advance of the Clemson game as promised. The phone number has worked. We have lots of voicemails, and we are going to play them now. If you want to get on the pod, give us a call, 540-632-0160. Leave us a message. And what we will do, we'll compile them together. We will put them on podcast episodes or do a mini episode if we get enough, like we're doing right now. We have several people who have called in, and now we're going to go through them. First call is from my wife, Tia. Let's see what she has to say.
Can you remember to bring home milk? Love you, bye.
Sorry about that. No, I cannot get the milk. I am too busy podcasting, and also I think you have the wrong number. All right, after that, let's turn to my good friend Ryan, who I've known since law school. He was kind enough to do a check to make sure that the number had been set up correctly and was working, and let's see what Ryan has to say.
All right, the test worked. The Duke podcast can get the 3 fans from outside of the geographic area.
Thank you, Ryan. I guess there are dozens of us. Dozens. All right, now we are switching to Tyler, who is a regular listener and a frequent engager on Twitter, X, whatever. Tyler, I appreciate all your attention and your focus and your following of the Bull City Coordinators at Duke FB coverage account. Let's hear what you have to say.
Hi, Tyler Lester here. So just out of curiosity, what would it take for us to be happy with a losing season? Say hypothetically we go 4-8, but we sweep, the in-state schools and we get the victory bell back. Or if we go 5-7 and get the victory bell back. With the tough schedule, not that we celebrate it, but is that enough to overlook maybe missing a bowl game, in year 2 if we're able to bring the bell back?
Tyler, that's a really good question about maybe what the Blue Devils could expect if the season doesn't go the way you would want with a senior-laden team, an older-laden team. And I think we could all agree that the Blue Devils could go 1-11 as long as that one win is against North Carolina. I mean, heck, I'd be fine with that every year. We could lose every single game but one and always keep the victory bell, and I'd be fine with that. I don't know anybody else who would have a problem with it, but in all seriousness, I think we would have to say, even with the tough schedule, given the veteran leadership that this team is returning, anything less than a bowl game would be a disappointment, unless you run into issues with potentially injuries or we play teams like Clemson, Notre Dame, NC State, Florida State, really, really close and just, lose a couple of heartbreakers here and there because the ball doesn't bounce our way. Obviously, we want to win those games, but if we're showing that we can really compete and play with the best, odds are we're going to get one game to go our way, maybe 2. So to answer your question, my overall thought on the season is if we don't go bowling, it'll be a disappointment unless there are a lot of injuries. And if we come up short of a bowl game, it'd be nice to, at the very least, play a bunch of those really good teams tough and give us hope that with more time, Elko will get us where we need to be. All right, now my man Drew, he and I tweet back and forth regularly about Star Wars and many other things. So Drew has some thoughts on the upcoming Clemson game, and let's hear what he has to say.
What's up, Bull City Coordinators? This is Drew Cheshire at Drew Chesh on X/Twitter. Love the show. Love Duke football. For me, Duke football is all about, and not just Duke football, but life is about experiences. But Duke football, particularly this game coming up on Labor Day, is going to be an experience, I think, and I anticipate like one that I've not had as many games as my sons and I have been to at Wallace Wade. I think this is going to be a different type of atmosphere. I do expect there to be a lot of orange there, but I'm hoping that there'll be a lot of us wearing royal blue. I'm not ready to predict a win against Powerhouse. I do want it because I mentioned experiences. An experience I have never had is rushing a court or a field after my team wins a game, a big game, and this would be, in my opinion, a field rushing worthy win over the Tigers. So that is an experience that I hope that my two sons and all of us, many of you Duke football fans that have become good friends of mine that I get to see just in the fall, unfortunately, but we are Cameron and Joan and I are looking really forward to heading up I-85 from the Charlotte area early Monday morning and then heading back early Tuesday morning, hopefully after what would be, I believe, the biggest win in the program's history, certainly as far as a regular season game goes. But looking forward to it. Also, just have to take the moment to say we're praying for the folks in Florida and the Caribbean who are being or have been affected by the hurricanes. And stay safe down there. Bye.
Drew, I cannot wait to see you on Labor Day. Can't wait to see your family again. You are one of the best Duke football fans who are out there. I really hope that you and your family get to rush the field. I think that'll be a blast, and I just can't wait to be there on Labor Day night, and I'm rooting for a win too. Now, our next call is from someone in Roanoke, potentially my neighbor, Rick. Let's hear what Rick from Roanoke has to say. He has some questions and comments about ACC expansion.
Yeah, this is Rick from Roanoke, calling with a question or a comment, actually. I expect that ACC expansion is going to happen to the West Coast. I've been reading your blog. I guess my question is, what's your take on how are the rivalries going to shake up or get shaked up with some of the West Coast schools coming? I mean, are we going to have a Duke-Stanford competition? I'm assuming that the powers that be will continue with Duke UNC, but just let me know. Thanks. Go Duke.
Rick, that's an excellent question, and the expansion issue is tough because how you're going to schedule these things outside of football is going to be a nightmare. I don't think football will be too hard. Everything at the college level is really geared around that part of the sports program. I'm thinking as far as how you're going to match these teams up, that Cal, Stanford, SMU are going to play one another. They're also going to play Louisville, Georgia Tech, triangle teams and Wake Forest because those schools are so close to each other, that latter group are so close to each other, and you can get creative maybe with how long you bring teams out there for, particularly the Olympic sports. I mean, that's just going to be a nightmare for them. How the rivalries are going to work beyond, those teams that are kind of a little bit geographically closer to Cal and Stanford and SMU playing each other, we'll just have to wait and see. But I do think that you're going to try to see, if this happens, you're going to see Cal, Stanford, SMU definitely being regularly scheduled with Louisville, Georgia Tech, and try to drop them in the triangle as much as possible. But again, what are we going to do with the 3-5-5? You can't do it if you add a bunch of new teams in. So that's something that you're going to have to figure out. I think that 3-5-5 ends in either 2025 or 2027. So it's got an end date anyway, but we'll see how they reconfigure all of that. It's not going to be fun for teams like BC, Syracuse, Miami to have to go all the way out there, but we'll see what happens. And all that being said, though, I am really looking forward to a road trip, man. Let's get out to see Duke play at Cal, and let's get out to see Duke play at Stanford. Dallas, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Pony Express, a long time ago. I don't know. Not that interested. Okay, now we have a game prediction from Charles, and let's see what he thinks is going to happen to the Tigers when they come into Wallace Wade on Monday night.
Ben, this is Charles. I've got a prediction for the Duke-Clemson game. I'm entering the world of Richlandia here. I see Riley Leonard going for 100 yards plus on the ground. He throws or is part of 3 touchdowns. Devils come up with 2 turnovers, maybe 3. And I think Clemson is going to have a chance to win it at the end. Klubnik's going to take over, going to be inside Duke territory. But it's going to end like the kid with a nut allergy eating peanut butter for the first time. It's just not going to end well for Clemson and Klubnik. And Devils hold on, win 21-17. Go Duke. We're on the way to 10-2. Peace.
Okay, Charles, I am definitely going to get you an All Is Good in Richlandia t-shirt. I've just got to work on the design and put it together, and I'm glad to know my dad has some company there. It'll be good for him. Next, we got a call from Jason Rogers, who is a longtime listener to the podcast, great Duke football fan. He's going to talk about what he is looking forward to this season. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hi, this is Jason Rogers. I hope this message finds the infamous Bull City coordinator doing well. Just calling to drop a little stoked episode to you about this year's coming season. My son and I, Cash, we are super duper ready for this year. A lot of great returning weapons on the offensive side of the ball, anchored by two great offensive linemen that are going to anchor it all down. And then, of course, our weapons at the receivers end, our defensive line and our linebacking core are veterans. So I am super ready to see what we're going to do on the defensive side of the ball. And this year gives us the first year of a great strength coach in Coach Feeney. So I am super ready for this year, expecting some with the exception of the schedule being so rigorous this year, but I'm very excited to say should be, I'm hoping, at least a 8-win season this year, including a bowl game win there. So if we can come out with an 8-win season, including the bowl game, I think we've had a great year. Again, keep up the hard work to the Bull City coordinator. And thanks for all you do for us as fans, and go Duke.
Thank you, Jason. I do think that the leadership is going to make a big difference. We got a lot of senior, older weapons, not necessarily all seniors, but we've got guys who have been here for a while. I think that will make a difference this year. I'm very excited to see what this team can do, and I'm looking forward to hopefully running into you and your family at a game. Now, this next call is from someone who claims to be Blacksburg Kris. He is a Hokie fan, so how serious we should take him is a matter of debate. He has a couple of questions and comments, and let's hear from Blacksburg Kris now.
Long-time listener, first-time caller here. A few questions for the pod. Blue Devils home game versus Hokie home game. Let's suppose you get an invite to the Hokie night game versus ODU, or an almost guaranteed Duke home loss versus Clemson. How do you choose? Let's assume, without deciding, that you haven't racked up enough snuggle bucks with the wife to attend both. Second question, when did we lose our optimism for football? It's been close to 15 years since I predicted Virginia Tech to go undefeated. Yet your dad, of all people, picks Duke to go 10-2. 10-2? Last time Duke sniffed 10 wins was 2013. That prediction is full of hope, optimism, and balls. I love it. And number 3, speaking of Duke's record, Blacksburg Kris's betting line for Duke wins this year stands at 7.5. What's your bet? You've got 4 absolutely winnable games on the schedule. You've got 4 games that might be out of reach on paper. October 28th through November 25 will be big. In that time, Duke plays at Louisville, at home versus Wake, at UNC, at UVA, and at home versus Pitt. Assuming Duke is 3-4 going into that stretch, which might be the case, they need to go 4-1 to win the over. Powder Puff all-girls school in Charlottesville is the one gimme. I'll go barely under, but still a nice season for Duke. And finally, I get to root for you guys since you don't have the Hokies on the schedule this year. Go Duke.
Now, Kris, as to your first question about how do you choose, it is important to note that a case or matter becomes moot when the issues presented are no longer live or the parties lack a legally cognizable interest in the outcome. No matter how vehemently the parties continue to dispute a certain matter, The case is moot if the dispute is no longer embedded in any actual controversy about any particular rights or decisions to be made. Given that the choice has already been made to go see the Blue Devils play Clemson on Monday night, there is simply a moot issue, and so this matter must be dismissed. However, it must also be noted that the reason for rules such as this is that courts, went into my law there, were really not constituted, nor was it intended to vest us with authority to render advisory opinions, particularly to answer moot questions or to answer those inquiries which are merely speculative, such as the one that you present at the moment. Now, to your next point about betting, I will note for the record that anybody who is going to take betting advice from me is a fool and should not do so. You can ask my good friend Matt Hubbard. Do not ask me for over-unders in any situation. And if I do give you an over or an under, for the love of God, take the opposite. In this case, though, I will say I have Duke going 7-5 this season, and we'll get to 8 wins, hopefully with a bowl victory. That's what I'm going with. And when it comes to you trashing UVA, I love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. And I will say this for the record. Go Hokies. Okay, now our last caller is the boy. He is going to do a This Week in Sports segment. We're going to check in with the Ohio Bobcats because that is where my wife is getting a master's degree from right now. So we have all become Ohio Bobcats fans, not so much her. Let's get a check-in from Mac on how the Bobcats are doing.
Well, as a professional football scout myself, the Ohio Bobcats, I root them. They lost, 13-20 against San Diego. And I really think QB got hurt. CJ Harris had a pretty solid game. It's just, if your QB gets hurt, you can't really attack that well. So it's a little annoying, but I think the Bobcats will win the championship this year. Yeah.
Excellent reporting, son. I can tell you are locked in and focused. And you have another call with another sports update for the week in sports. What else is happening, son?
Chelsea had a great win against in town 3-0. Raheem Sterling getting 2 goals. Nicholas Jackson, a new signing for Chelsea, scored 1-0. It was a great football match. The pitch was great. The atmosphere was amazing. Oh, wait. I think I might be talking about the wrong football. Cheers, mate.
And I know he cares about soccer, and that's the most excited that he got. Okay. Thanks to everybody for calling in. I really appreciate it, and I hope we can do more of these throughout the year. This was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to continuing to do it. If you do want to get on the podcast and you have not already, just give us a call, 540-632-0160. Give us your Duke take, and we'll put it into an episode. And hey, looking forward to the Clemson game on Monday. Can't wait to see all you guys there. Wear your blue, pack the stands, and, as always, go Duke.